Okay, Molly's, I'm with the Premier. Just this is right fast questions. Listen, you don't have to answer this. This is one of them. I was going to ask the third one. What's your status? You married?
I'm not married.
You're not married?
Single.
Yeah, straight, single. Not gay or anything?
I'm straight.
Straight,
single,
that's good. A lot of people ask me, they say, I'm not the National Enquirer. Go see somebody else. So you're a straight, single Premier.
Yes.
Great, that's great. That's why I tell everybody, you could concentrate on the job in line.
I
You'll have no distraction.
Well, I wouldn't want us to consider family distraction. I mean, family's important. It's very important to me too. I have nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters.
But you could focus on the job in line.
And my parents. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of time to give, and I'm very passionate about what I do. So I certainly put a lot of hours in. But family's still very important.
Oh yes, of course. But that's why it didn't work. It didn't work the last time. David Albert had him and his wife on the bus, and family, and it didn't go far.
If you have any suggestions for me in terms of how I can no longer be single,
that's all right. I'm single too, so don't worry. That's why we got lots of time. I could concentrate on blogging. You could concentrate on running the province.
Fair enough.
But I also hear that it used to be an honor to work in the Premier's office, and every Friday they will go at the Luna Rogue and enjoy their meal. I guess with you, the party is over.
Oh, well, I hope so. I hope that's the case.
You demand hard workers.
Absolutely, I do, and I work very hard, and I think we've been very privileged to have the opportunity before us, not only myself as Premier, but as MLAs, as government, as cabinet ministers, and anybody that would be working in the Premier's office, and I would even argue the civil service.
You demand hard workers.
Yeah, well, we have serious challenges, and we're going to have to work very hard to overcome them, and I expect that from people who work with me. I certainly want them to have life balance, but we got to get the job done for sure.
You're on to it all. They could be honest with you. You will encourage people to be honest.
Absolutely, and they call them yes men, right?
Yes.
They always
You're surrounded by yes
people,
men.
I should suppose.
You got 5 of them here.
Not at all. Actually, I said it would probably be fun to at least have one yes person that would just sort of say yes. They always kind of put me to task on everything that they don't necessarily agree with. So I certainly have good people with strong characters around me.
Would you consider me a yes man via email?
No, certainly not. No, I don't.
And I don't charge for my advice. Okay, that's good. Forestry Act. Now, are we going to see the whole details of that crooked deal with the Irving Forestry Act?
Well, as you may have saw, Minister Landry just about a week ago, if I'm not mistaken, released everything he possibly could release, anything that wouldn't be confidential in nature regarding forestry. He put that on the floor of the legislature. It's now public domain. That was one of our commitments of our platform. We believe it's important to have as much transparency as possible.
Are we getting everybody out? Is all the information going to come out, what they signed?
Well, I believe all the information is out. I say that now. I don't know the ins and outs, but certainly the minister and the ministry were instructed to release everything that wasn't confidential in nature.
Is there a connection between the trees that's being cut, the clear cutting, and the floods that's going down?
I'm not a specialist. I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm a specialist.
You fly in a helicopter?
No, I've never been in one, actually.
Never been in one?
No.
I flew with one with Frank.
Well, you should have invited me. Why didn't you?
McKenna.
Oh,
you weren't even born then. Frank McKenna flew me in a helicopter from Big Salmon River in St. Martin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Paul Zed was there then, and we flew to St. John, and he flew me they said that they tried to push me in the Bay of Fundy. But anyway, that's, I'm a frog. I could swim.
You got out.
Yeah, it was just like the movie Scarface. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of trees, this is not CBC, there's a lot of trees that's being cut. The buffer zone is getting smaller and smaller. And when it rains, the rain goes right in the river, and bingo, you have floods.
Some people certainly make that argument, and that's certainly why we want to be as transparent as possible when it comes to the forestry plan. We need experts, we need New Brunswickers to know what's being proposed and what's happening, so they can play a role in ensuring that we do the forestry sector in a sustainable and environmentally friendly.
So when are you going to fly in a helicopter and see for yourself?
And in a way to ensure that we also have this industry for many years to come.
When are you going to fly? When are you going to see
there's
the
really no plans. I didn't know that flying in a helicopter is something that we were supposed to be doing.
You can see, or the plane, and see really the clear cutting.
Well, look, I mean, like I said, I think it's important for us to have a very sustainable industry, one that's good for the environment, one that's good for jobs, which is our priority as a government. and that's why we think that releasing the information like we did will help us lead to those results. And New Brunswickers that have suggestions on how we can do the forestry industry better, we're all ears.
And you're not stupid. Denny Laundry has the biggest fist in the whole province, so I'm not going to fool around with him.
Former lumberjack, as you know.
He knows this stuff. He's a nice guy.
I saw the picture of you guys duking it out there.
We've been duking it out for 10 years. Okay, the half of the province is separated red and blue. And it sort of reminds me of the old days. Les Français, les Acadiens, and the English. You know, we're just half and half. Do we, with all the MLAs that's French in your cabinet, do we need a language commissioner? Do we need that?
Well, first off, let me just make a comment on sort of the division that you talk about. I don't see that. We have Deputy Premier Horseman, who's a wonderful MLA and minister, obviously from Fredericton, Rick Doucette, a great minister, a great person, doing great things. Ed Doherty, who's back again, who's working very hard as a minister as well. We have Bill Fraser in the Miramichi, Lisa Harris, as well on the Miramichi.
But the bottom
Chris
line.
Collins,
Okay. Well, we're going to. Hey,
yeah.
Chris Collins did good. What did he say this morning? I listened to lower myself.
I should call him the speaker. That I probably should.
What did the speaker say? Let the war begin.
Let the games begin.
Let the games begin. Oh, you're paying attention. That's good. I found that funny. Okay, so we have Acadians, MLA. Do we need a French commissioner?
I think the French commissioner, what I should correct that. I mean, I know you call it that, but the
language commissioner.
So
do we need that?
The official languages commissioner. I think she plays a very important role to ensure.
When she goes there, do you know it's going to be against the English? It's not going to be against the French. You know that.
Well, no, that wouldn't really be her mandate. I mean, maybe that's your opinion on how the function. Well, I'm sure of that. And look, I think that there's a role to play for both linguistic communities to ensure that we're doing official languages the best we can and to provide advice. But
if we got a problem, we could go to human rights, no?
Well, I mean, look, I think
money. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I think it's important to have many avenues for people who want to be able to be heard. That's why we have an ombudsman. That's why we have a child and youth advocate. That's why we have many legislative officers. And I think that the office of the official languages commissioner has been doing a good job.
If I keep on talking like this, my welfare check is going to be cut off. Okay, the francophone is we're just a humor. The francophone school. That pisses me off. I hear francophone district, francophone. The Anglophone district is closed today, the Francophone. Why do we have Francophone school, Anglophone? What I'm saying is, how come we can't go to District 18, District 17, District 13, like the old days? Like, it's like black and white down the States. Right?
That's, I suppose, an interesting point in terms of what the names are, but I do think it's important that we realize that we have two systems, and that's very important to the rights of both linguistic communities to ensure that they are able to get the education in their language of choice and make sure that they understand their culture as well. So I think we as a province recognize the importance of that. In terms of the names of it, I mean, maybe that's a bit semantic, but I understand your point.
Maybe do something about it.
Maybe.
We'll talk next year. And listen, internet. Would you recognize a petition? I can't stand petition that's online. Because anonymous people could sign. I like the written piece of paper. Do you recognize if a petition is signed on the internet with 10,000 people? Do you recognize that?
Well, I'll start off by saying I'm not exactly sure what the legislature's rules are on that. I know that they do have some specifications in terms of what type of petition will be recognized on the floor of the legislature. So I'm not. I can't say that I know exactly in detail how they accept the internet one. No, I think you raise a very good point. Now, there may be ways through technology and innovation to have ways to identify who the people are signing a little more than some websites. Would
you recognize more a piece of paper than the information highway?
Well, I don't think it's an either or that you have to pick. I mean, I think a petition is a petition. The only concern that you may have when it's done online is whether or not it's the same person signing different names, right? I think that's really what it boils down to. So if there's ways to identify that.
So you recognize an online petition as much as a piece of paper?
Well, again, when you say I recognize, I mean, I think that for government, it's the floor of the legislature where petitions are introduced, and that's up to the legislature to
in your mind, that's online. I'm not going to pay attention to that. With all those papers all stacked up.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, you obviously look at you'll look at the legitimacy of the petition online, but again, I mean, I think the concern is whether or not there were measures taken to see who was actually identified, if somebody was actually identified or not when they were signing the petition.
You jog, you do a handstand. You're very, very healthy.
I don't know plural handstand. I don't do that. I don't do that very often.
I asked David Howard if he could do one, but he says no. He just look at me and just run away. First time I see him run. When you jog, what do you think about? Besides having music in your ear, do you have CBC online, or do you have music?
No, I have music actually. Well, that's one of the best parts about going to jog. I completely disconnect, and obviously don't have your BlackBerry with you. I'm by myself. I'm just running with some music. I let my mind go. To be honest, I often think about work. I sometimes also am lucky enough to solve some challenges and problems while I'm running, and I sort of let the creativity juices flow a little bit. I also think about my family. I think about who I haven't talked to in a while and who I should reach out to, and I let my mind go like anybody else when they're running. And it's one of the best ways, not only to try and stay in shape, relatively speaking, but also to
same here. I walk and then think about the cops and I think about this and that. So never mind that. We're not going to talk about that at all. Religious? Are you religious?
I'm Catholic, so
You're Catholic?
I do go to church once in a while. I don't go as much as I probably should. I'm not able to get there as much as I probably should. But
we have the same ear of the priest, the same priest.
Oh yes. He spoke to me about you. Yeah, he said that he knew you.
Pierre Brian.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy.
Known him for 40 years.
Oh really?
Anyone that could handle me for 40 years must be a saint.
Pretty impressive person for sure.
And you're a different politician. You stood up in the stool in front of the ledge, and you spoke up for abortion, and I thought that was political suicide. I said, what is he doing? I thought, the old Acadian way and the old religious way, but you got guts.
Well, it's not about political calculations. It's not about guts. It's not about courage. It's about doing what you think is right, and it's a very sensitive issue, and I recognize that. And one of the things that I have to do as premier and as an elected official is put personal views aside, and I have to ask myself, what do I have to do as premier to ensure I'm respecting people's rights? In this case, it's been very clearly defined that a woman has the right to choose. In New Brunswick, unfortunately, we were putting some barriers in front of that right. So I made a promise that I would, which I believe is a promise that everyone should find reasonable. I said I would find any barriers to these rights, and if I found some, we would eliminate them to ensure that we're eliminating barriers to a woman's right to choose, and that's exactly what we did. So I completely.
But you're a man of you speak your mind. I mean, if you believe in something, you go all out. You're not going to try to save your hide as a politician. If it's not politically correct, well, you will say it anyway.
Well, I'm going to always say what I think is right, and I'm going to do what I think is in the best interest of New Brunswickers, and I believe protecting a woman's rights is an important part of what I should be doing as a premier. You can't cherry pick which rights you feel like respecting and which rights you feel like not respecting. So for me, it's not about courage. It's not about political calculation. It's about taking the job seriously and doing what you believe to be right for the people of your province.
What's your status? Okay, so then you wake up in the morning. You have servants? You're the premier. No, you don't have no servants. No, okay, that's a servant right there. We're not going to mention any names, but anyway. So you make your own breakfast.
Is that what it says on their business card?
Yeah, you make your own breakfast or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now you turn on your computer. What do you do? You read the Globe and Mail. You read the Irving Media. What do you do?
It depends. It depends. If often I like
to. You read blogs?
Yeah. I wake up and I read Charles the Blogger's blog, no, I wake up, I make breakfast. That's one of the meals that I'm actually good at making. I'm not that good of a cook, so that's one that I can do. And I usually, honestly, I'll put a video on, something like TED Talks. I find those quite cool and quite informative, and various subjects, which is also nice and sort of gets your mind going in the morning. Sometimes I'll work out before work if I don't have anything too early, and if
do you read tweets?
No, not very often. No,
that's all about your own man yakking and complaining. Anyway.
No, if I just spent my time on sort of Twitter and Facebook and all, and
but
blogs
you read.
Too
and
much.
Blogs.
I wouldn't get much work done. There's so much out there, right? So
one more thing, the voting age, 16. You think that's a good idea?
Well, I think it's important for us to find ways for people to vote and to get young people engaged. I'm not convinced that lowering the voting age to 16 is the way to accomplish that. We already have many young people that aren't voting. I think the first initiatives that we should be taking should be to address some of the younger people that aren't already voting and make sure that they actually express themselves when they have the right to place their ballot. So I'd rather initiatives focused on that.
One more thing, it's all over. 4 years from now, what do you see yourself?
Where do I see myself?
What do you see yourself? What would you think you're going to accomplish?
Well, hopefully we'll be sitting at Molly's, you and I, Charles, and I'll be able to say that we created jobs, we fixed the fiscal, well, we got the fiscal situation on the right track, and we help families. And that's what I'll be focused on over the next 4 years, and I really hope with the help of all New Brunswickers and the wonderful team that we have that we'll be able to accomplish that.
Join Noël. C'est vraiment bon.
Merci beaucoup.